Have you ever looked at vegetable peels, coffee grounds, or eggshells in your kitchen and thought, I wish I could turn all this into something useful? I used to feel the same way. Every time I cleaned the kitchen, I felt guilty throwing away things that still had value. Then one day, I discovered something simple, but it completely changed the way I saw waste. It's called composting, the art of turning organic scraps into life again. We're living in an age where technology and artificial intelligence, AI, are advancing faster than ever. Everything can be optimized, calculated, automated. But here's the thing. Nature has been doing that perfectly for millions of years. A leaf falls, a branch decays, and both return to the soil, becoming nutrients for new life. That's the most beautiful recycling system ever created. And when you start composting at home, even with just a small bin in the corner of your yard, you become part of that natural cycle. Many people think composting is complicated, expensive, or only for people with big gardens. But the truth is, it's the opposite. You don't need fancy tools or a large space. You just need a little knowledge, a little patience, and a heart that wants to live in harmony with nature. I want you to imagine this. Every morning, you step outside to your little compost bin. You open the lid and see rich, dark soil, soft, alive, and smelling like the earth itself. That's not just fertilizer. That's the result of patience, care, and love for the environment and for life. I remember once a neighbor asked me, "And why do you waste time composting? Isn't it faster to just buy fertilizer?" I smiled and said, "Sure, buying fertilizer is faster, but composting teaches you something money can't buy: patience and connection with nature." Months later, when he saw my garden full of vibrant green vegetables and soil as soft as powder, he came back asking how to start. I told him, just begin. Don't worry about doing it perfectly. Compost doesn't need perfection, it just needs you to start. You see, compost is the science of life, a place where tiny microorganisms quietly work behind the scenes. They eat, breathe, and transform what we call waste into nourishment for the earth. It's a reminder that even from what seems worthless, something good can always grow, if only we choose to see it differently. Composting isn't just about being green, it's also about healing. When we bury our waste, we also learn how to let go. When we wait for it to decompose and renew, we learn patience. And when we see new sprouts growing from that same soil, we begin to understand the true meaning of life. That's why I chose this path, and that's why I'm sharing this video with you today. I know what you might be thinking. I don't have a yard. I don't have time. I don't have the tools. This isn't for me. But honestly, it's much simpler than you think. You don't need a big backyard or professional gear. All you need is a small corner, a spot where you can feel the breeze and see the sunlight, and you can begin. 1. Your first compost bin. You don't have to buy one. My first compost bin wasn't fancy. It was just an old paint bucket I cleaned out, drilled a few holes around for airflow, and placed in a shaded corner. People often ask, "And do I need to buy a special compost bin?" I always laugh and say, no, let your imagination do the work. A plastic bucket, an old trash can, even a styrofoam box can become the start of your composting journey. And if you want to make it even cheaper, try these DIY compost bin hacks I've learned from experience. Drill 6 to 8 small holes around the bin to let it breathe. Compost needs air just like we do. Line the bottom with small sticks or dry leaves for airflow. Keep it in a spot with gentle shade. Compost loves warmth, but not direct sun. Most importantly, treat your compost bin like a growing plant. Give it care and attention. I once helped a neighbor in her 60s make compost using just an old paint bucket. At first she said, "Oh, I'm too old for that kind of thing." But after a month, she proudly told me, "And my vegetables are growing greener than ever, with my own compost." She smiled like she'd found her youth again, right there in her little garden. That's the real beauty of compost. It doesn't just save money, it brings us closer to ourselves. Number 2, the secret of balance, green and brown. If you ask me, is there a recipe for compost? I'd say yes, and it's just like cooking. Green materials are fresh and nitrogen-rich. Vegetable scraps, coffee grounds, fruit peels, leftover rice. Brown materials are dry and carbon-rich. Dry leaves, shredded paper, sawdust, straw. Too much green makes it wet and smelly. Too much brown makes it slow. Just like cooking, it's all about balance. Here's a simple rule I share. 1 part green to 3 parts brown works best for beginners. Mix them well, and soon you'll notice the pile warming up. That means the microorganisms are hard at work. Touch it gently. Feel the warmth. That's life happening right under your hands. And remember, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Compost is forgiving. It always finds its balance as long as you don't abandon it. A friend of mine who works in environmental science once said, "Compost is nature's little laboratory." Every day you'll notice changes, smells, colors, textures. It's science, yes, but it's also mindfulness. When you turn the pile and hear the soft crackle of dry leaves, you'll realize nature has never left us. We just need to listen again. 3. Smell and bugs. The fear of beginners. I know many people give up after a few weeks because their compost smells. But smell is a message. If it stinks, it's too wet or lacks air or brown material. Add dry leaves, shredded paper, and stir. It'll fix itself. Insects show up for the same reason: imbalance. Once you understand compost, you won't fear them anymore. I often joke, if your compost smells like fresh soil, it's happy. There's something magical only composters truly understand. It's the feeling of time working for you. Day by day, what was once waste quietly transforms, slowly, naturally, just like life itself. And one morning, you open the lid and realize the smell is gone. In its place, there's that earthy scent, the scent of life. I once sat beside my compost bin on a quiet afternoon, holding a handful of dark, rich soil. And it hit me. Humans and nature were never separate. We just forgot how to live together. When you turn your kitchen waste into compost, you're doing exactly what the planet needs. Not through slogans or speeches, but through small, humble actions at home. When you patiently watch waste turn into soil, you learn something profound. Nothing is truly trash if it's in the right place. Just like in life, sometimes we feel useless, tired, or left behind. But compost reminds us, with time, warmth, and the right environment, anything and anyone can come back to life. Compost doesn't just feed the soil, it feeds the soul. And in this new era of artificial intelligence, compost reminds us that nature is still humanity's greatest teacher. AI can calculate and optimize, but only we can smell the earth, feel its texture, and celebrate the joy of new life. If every home in Vietnam had a small compost corner, we could reduce millions of tons of landfill waste each year. In return, we'd have more green spaces, cleaner meals, and quieter happiness. So if you've watched this far, I want to tell you one thing. Start today. Don't worry about being perfect. All you need is an old bucket, some veggie scraps, and a heart ready to make a change. And if you'd like to keep walking this green path with me, hit like, subscribe to my channel Compost, and turn on notifications, because every hand that touches the soil is a hand that helps heal the earth.